Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who just rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello and welcome to another week of Bat Minute Returns. Now you may say it's not like this show is going to go through Tim Burton's 1992 Batman Returns movie 1 minute at a time, but actually, it's a lot like that. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And I am the other host, John Parker. I am only here to leave a legacy for my children.
What's what a very sad legacy it's going to be.
They would be ashamed of the legacy I've left.
And today we're joined once again by another guest. Today we have with us the feature film director Natasha Kermani.
Hi guys, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Oh, well, anytime. You're more than welcome.
Yes, thank you.
And and today we're here to talk about minute 28 of Batman Returns, which begins with a very, very ghoulish looking Chris Walken.
Walking, I like that. That's my new name.
He's walking towards our girl.
Oh yeah, yeah, technically so. I can edit that so it sounds as if it was intentional.
Chris walking towards Selina.
Yeah, and it ends 1 minute later with, Selina with her back against the wall or the window, if you prefer to look at it that way. But yeah, like, as I said there, this is a very, very creepy shot of Walken to open up on, because he does look about as ghoulish as you can get with the lighting that way.
Yeah, well, I love him. Right, I think he's one of my favorites. I think he's fantastic. And I like the way you don't even have to do that much to make him creepy. Like, they've just a little bit of lighting. He's got weird hair. There you go, done.
Yeah, he's one of the best Batman villains for sure, and she's one of the best Batman characters. So it's kind of fun to see them together. Yeah, well, she's just uncovered his plan, his nefarious plan. So she's trying to cover up, and she's trying to play dumb, which is the other thing I love about this scene. Is she's trying to act like she's just a ditzy secretary. But then she proceeds to completely, give up his entire plan as he's sort of underlit, staring down at her. So I do love the lighting in this scene. It's pretty great.
Oh, we did mention briefly last week, I wonder if you spotted it, Natasha, like Selina's face in that lighting. It looks as if they've deliberately put her glasses that way, so the shadow in her face looks like the old 1960s Catwoman mask. So
I think that's completely intentional, for sure. There's a lot of really nice nods in that way. I mean, I think Catwoman is one of the best characters of all time, really. She's such a great character, and Michelle Pfeiffer, of course, is totally an iconic Catwoman. But this movie in particular has a lot of sort of references to, like, sort of not only the old Catwoman, but the new sort of context. What year is this movie, actually? 1992, yeah. So it's kind of interesting. She's got her apartment with all the kind of that creepy saleswoman who's trying to sell her stuff on her voice machine.
Oh, God, yeah.
Which is so brilliant. She's kind of got all these societal pressures coming at her, and then her boss is, like, creeping on her and also murderous. I don't know. She's got a lot of problems.
Now, that's the best thing about her character in this. I think she's understandable and relatable, even though she kind of, she becomes a villain. She goes too far, maybe, but she's been pushed into that.
Team Catwoman. She goes just far enough.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't want to sound like a weirdo, but yeah, I think she should go further.
I was just thinking though, like that automated answering machine message though, that woman's voice. I think they really missed a trick though by not having Max Schreck do those messages himself. So, like, it's an automated message from Max Schreck every time, like, "Hello, Selina Kyle. You should consider Gotham's Ladies perfume."
Someone has to do that. Like, someone has to do Chris Walken perfume ads.
That would be perfect. Why isn't there a Walken branded sort of perfume and cologne line?
That is
Come on.
actually a point, though. I don't think we brought up yet that the character of Max Schreck, because this movie came out just right before the Batman animated series. It was that series was almost sort of piggybacking off the popularity of this movie, and apparently Max Schreck was supposed to be in the show. Like they were going to incorporate that character as a recurring villain. And then for whatever reason, they sort of retooled it and they changed him into the character of Roland Daggett, which is appropriate because later on, the next Batman movie that features Catwoman has a character played by Ben Mendelsohn called John Daggett, who is pretty much just Roland Daggett, which is like, oh, so I guess they do it an odd, but
very odd one.
Yeah, but Daggett, he's voiced by Ed Asner, the guy, I guess most famously known for like the voice from the main character from Up, and surprisingly, still, I just assumed Ed Asner was like long dead, but like no, he's still going, and he's still working. He's got like 15 movies out this year, which is crazy. But the character Roland Daggett, he's the guy who owns the cosmetics company in the animated show that is responsible for turning Clayface into Clayface and whatnot, and he does.
Well, why the hell isn't it just Shrek then? Why would you bother making a new character?
That's what I was kind of thinking there. Maybe it's because they're like, do we get someone to do a Chris Walken voice to make people know that it's Shrek?
I think once it's Christopher Walken, you can never go back. Like you can't walk in that back. You have to just have a new character because he's so iconic.
Well, it is actually a good point because there's no way Christopher Walken would do a TV show, like a cartoon. He wouldn't be there for that.
I don't know.
And you wouldn't want an impersonator because no one's going to get that right. Nobody can do Chris Walken.
Well, except for, as we've covered in this movie, the guy playing Chip Shrek, who is just... he's attempting to do it, Niall. He's not succeeding 100%. He's attempting. But the thing is, I do kind of miss that. It's like, oh, it would have been so cool to have Max Schreck like reappear as a character, but like no, this is like much like Alexander Knox. This is our one shot at this character, and then it's like, well, I guess he's his shadow looms too large, pretty much over the role. You can't really although I don't entirely agree with the idea that Walken wouldn't do a TV show because like he is infamously just like, I'll do whatever. Like, if you pay me, I'll be in your movie. I don't,
I think he would have been tapped up for more cartoons and things if he was open to it, because that voice is just incredible.
I've never actually looked in to see if he's done any.
Yeah, I wonder. I think you should look it up. I bet he has. He's done a music video, obviously. He did that Spike Jonze music video.
Oh, it's incredible. I love that.
Yeah.
I've always felt, too, like, I'm curious how much he has to do with, like, the styling of his characters and stuff, because there is a through line where they're all, like, they're really always sort of fabulous and like very well put together in all of his movies. Like they have this certain like panache that is clearly Christopher Walken. Like he looks like Beethoven, like when he's sitting down next to her with the hair and the whatever this is.
Yeah, the weird sort of funeral director collar that he's got going on. Yeah,
I'm a huge fan of the suit as well. I would wear that in a heartbeat.
Would you wear the gloves though? He's got like the leather gloves.
I feel like I would. I would want to, at least, to complete the outfit, but I'm not a big gloves wearer.
Those are his secretary killing gloves, so some shit's gonna go down.
I need a secretary first.
Yeah.
I do wonder as well, the fact is, several scenes, he always has a cigar prominently perched in his breast pocket. I do wonder if that's supposed to be like a Freudian, like I know that the whole joke is like sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. But is this supposed to be an indication of like, yeah, he's the swaggering sort of man of this situation or something? Or is it supposed to be like a...
Yeah.
He's like a one of Gotham's richest guys, and rich people love cigars.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I think it does have the double kind of meaning though now. I think you might be right. It's kind of phallic in a way. And her whole storyline is about just being abused by men.
Being
basically.
Put in situations. Yeah, no, certainly, I think so. And obviously, the framing of it, if you see she's kind of looking up, he's looking down at her, he takes up a lot of the frame, and she's kind of constantly on the defensive through this whole thing.
I do like the way when he asks her who she's spoken to about the plan, the only thing she can think of doing, she thinks this is a smart thing, is to say, "Oh, I haven't told anybody. Don't worry, it'll be fine." But weirdly, in this situation, it's actually the opposite of fine. She should really just tell him, "I've told everyone."
Yeah, definitely.
Because she doesn't know the danger she's in.
I guess maybe she couldn't get away with that, though, because it's only been like a couple of hours, and he did catch her mid reading the files. So it's like, well, but have you been on the phone for the past hour or something? Or
even if it's a lie. I mean, obviously she doesn't know that yet, but saying that she's told nobody is playing into what he wants. Because now he thinks, oh, I can just get rid of her. It doesn't matter. Like, because he's rich, he can just get someone to clean that up. Like,
I do really love, I think this actually might be like one of the best minutes in terms of dialogue, because there's a couple of real gems in here of like, well, it partially dips into that last minute though, but her saying like, it's just like a novel approach, I'd say, and his retort of like, and who exactly would you say this to? It's like, oh, that's a good comeback to that line. I think we'll touch on it when we get to it, but like the whole like, why are you so mean to someone so meaningless? Which is like every draft of the script has that line in it, as if Daniel Waters is like, that line is staying. You can change whatever else you want, but you're keeping that friggin' line, because I'm very, very proud of that line.
Yeah, well, it's a great line because she does consider herself useless. And I also think when she says the wrong thing, she doesn't fit in. She sticks out like a sore thumb from the beginning of the film. She doesn't really know how to operate in this world and in this society. And it's not until she unmasks herself by putting on the Catwoman mask that she can actually operate and exist with people. So I think she says the wrong thing. That's very intentional. Yeah, she just digs herself deeper and deeper. I do love the shadows on her face. I'm looking at it right now.
I love everything she does in this scene. Like, she can act scared without being too over the top, too overboard with it. Some people, they exaggerate it too much, but it's quite subtle. I like it. We
also do get like one of the most walk-in deliveries of a line ever. Then when they sort of shoot up and he starts really looming large, and he does this. What does curiosity do to the cat? Just because, as is our way, I decided to look into the origin of the phrase "curiosity killed the cat" to see where it came from.
Oh,
judging from my thorough research on Wikipedia, the earliest printed reference to the original proverb is attributed to British playwright Ben Jonson in the 1598 play "Every Man in His Humour," which was performed first by William Shakespeare. And it has the line, "Helter skelter, hang sorrow, care will kill a cat, up tails all, and a pox on the hangman," which is, again, out of context, is like, I don't really know what they're referring to there. But and then Shakespeare himself actually used that in a similar sort of line in Much Ado About Nothing. And throughout the years, and sort of adapts into various forms. But in December 1912. It appeared, as the phrase we know, in the Titusville Herald. And but even before that, though, at one point I actually have noted, they don't give much of a context for it. They say it's found in the Irish newspaper in 1868, and the headline, it just says, the quote is, "They say curiosity killed a cat once." And that's all the information they give you. It's like, what? Was it a slow news day in Ireland? Like, what? Nothing else has happened? Like,
yeah, that's too weird. There has to be more. I'm interested in a deeper dive into this. This may be something that this may be the rest of my Sunday afternoon, because I'm very curious.
I don't blame you. That's exactly what I'll be going to bed at like 3 a.m. now, because I'll just be up reading articles.
But
everywhere.
in the James Allen Mars 1973 compendium, A Handbook of Proverbs, English, Scottish, Irish, American, Shakespearean, and Scriptural, and Family Mottos, that's where it's kind of put down as like, this is a phrase that people say, curiosity killed the cat. And then, as you said there, Natasha, there was the thing that was seemingly added later, which was the full thing that appeared in the Titusville Herald in 1912, which I briefly talked about there, is the curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. And I do wonder, because of what's going to happen in this week, is the satisfaction of revenge? Is that what brings Selina Kyle back?
Absolutely.
I do kind of wish if that were the case, though. They actually had a scene of her like taking off her glove and slapping Max Schreck and be like, "I demand satisfaction, sir."
Well, I think it's the satisfaction of appeasing curiosity, right? So it killed the cat, but then knowing what she knows is what brought her back. I don't know, but it's a good phrase.
I love that. That's fantastic.
So he says, "What did curiosity do to the cat?" And then she says, "I'm no cat, Mr. Shrek," right? Something like that.
Yeah. Oh, she does the "I'm no cat, I'm just an assistant," and then she corrects herself by saying secretary, because her mother in the previous scene called her a lowly secretary, and then she went, "Oh, I'm an assistant." But I wonder the way she kind of urgently does it to Shrek. Is it like a thing? Is like, don't ever call yourself my assistant. Like, is she aware that he doesn't like that or something? Like, why does she have to? Plus, what is really the difference between an assistant and a secretary? Although I'm sure maybe I'll get a wave of secretaries writing into the show now. Like, I'll tell you exactly what it is.
I'd say an assistant probably does, not to belittle secretaries, I think an assistant probably does a lot more. They're more hands-on, more personal, closer to you. They look after all kinds of things in your life. Secretary they do your paperwork and stuff, don't they? An assistant, I'd say, is like a PA. You know, think of it like that. I like the way she flipped it there, because it tells me that the way she described her job to her mum was just to shut her up and make her not worry about her now she's moved to the big city. It's like, I'll just tell her I'm an assistant. That sounds good. That'll shut her up at the Christmas meetup.
Yeah, and she's also dodged that Christmas meetup because she's not going to. She's not attending the family reunion at Christmas this year. But
I did have a question about the curiosity and the cat thing, right? Now, does he know that she likes cats and he's using that phrase deliberately? Because I don't think, that jumped to my mind, but then I thought about it for a second and I was like, I don't know, because he seems like the kind of boss who has absolutely no interest in knowing anything about her personally.
Yeah.
He probably has never spoken to her about anything with her, day-to-day life.
I would posit, like, no. It's just like, I would say there's more likelihood of just Max Shrek's really into cats. Because, again, the logo of the freaking department store is a big, creepy cat head. So it would seem to me more like, oh, he's just all about cats. And that's why he was using, like, oh, we haven't quite housebroken Miss Kyle and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think he knows about Miss Kitty. Like, I don't think he gives a shit about Selina's life.
No.
He's threatening her very much, so... I also love how contrasty they let this scene go. I mean, just as like a Tim Burton nerd, he's so unafraid to just get theatrical with it and get real funky. And I just love this weird little dolly with them as he's pushing her back towards the window. The shadows are really very intense on their faces, and I think that's just something you're not really going to see as much today, especially.
No, you don't, do you? I think there's something lacking with that kind of stuff. Shadows are important.
Well, it's more cartoony. It's definitely, or not cartoony. It's more comic booky, which is fun.
That's what I like about the way Tim does these movies. It gets enough of the comic book feel without feeling like. This is going to sound like an odd thing to say about this movie, without feeling silly. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't go too far into, like, it's barely a movie.
I mean, it does have penguins as rockets strapped to their backs. That's pretty silly.
Yeah, but by the time it gets to that, you buy it. You don't sit there going, what the hell? Like, you just accept that at face value.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't question anything. You just roll with it.
I will say that this is what I really prominently noticed, the terrific job they've done with Max Shrek's eyebrows here, because he's got intense brows going with this like little kind of close up as he's leaning into Selina. It's really like, oh yeah. Again though, it's kind of like those are the eyebrows of like an old man.
Yeah, his age is odd. Like what is his age? You know,
we don't know. It's like
300, I think. He's a vampire.
That does add like the fact too. It's like those eyebrows. They're not. If you met anybody with eyebrows like that, you wouldn't be like, oh, they're pretty sexy. But like we've been having like, we had all last movie a whole debate about whether Jack Nicholson was sexy or not, and then this year is kind of a little bit of like, I've heard apparently a lot of women really like Chris Walken. They think he's dead sexy.
Chris Walken's sexy. I don't think that's up for debate, is it?
Like I kind of get it with the growl here, with the this power plant. It's my legacy. It's like, oh, that's kind of hot. But the thing is, I've recently got my hands on a copy of the the comic book tie-in to this. Obviously, once the movie came out, they brought out just a comic book version of it, just like this film condensed down into a comic.
Naturally.
And the people who drew that, they're very convinced that Chris Walken is a sexy guy, because it's like...
What does it look like? I've never seen this.
I'll have to try to put up some stills and stuff on when the episode airs and whatnot. But I don't know how you directly find them on Google, but imagine if you type in like Batman Returns comic adaptation, if you go through the image search, you'll probably eventually find a picture of him. But like they got him as a very kind of muscular, square-jawed, very, very handsome man. And it's like, I don't think that's... And the thing is, like, that kind of works in that, the city loves Max Schreck. I guess he should be like a really handsome, cool, charismatic guy. But instead of this creepy, weird eyebrowed, really intense-looking guy.
To Tim Burton, this is a sexy guy. What are you talking about? He says that he's doing all this for Chip, so it's not even for himself. This grand plan, this scheme, which is kind of odd. I mean, but you know why he's doing it, right? Because in the words of the great Titanic Minute, Chip is the ultimate failson. There's no way this guy could get anywhere without his pop.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to be a successful businessman.
I love that.
But yeah, there is this indication that it's like Chip Schreck could not do anything. Like basically, even though Max Schreck is the most, apparently one of the most beloved businessmen in town, multi-millionaire, has a friggin' huge department store, has his finger in a million pies, he still needs this power plant plan to go through because his son is such a dolt that if he doesn't have...
He'll blow it all.
Yeah, if he doesn't have all the money in the world, literally this at his fingertips, he'll still somehow end up in the gutter or something.
To be honest, I think my dad probably would worry about me like that, so it's fine.
I mean, I guess they're trying to humanize him a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah.
There is actually like probably touch a brief meeting, I guess you call it, with Selina's mother. But I am actually noticing as we go through, there is a very interesting sort of running thing with the parents in the movies, or in this movie in particular, because we have, Bruce Wayne's parents, obviously very loving family, torn away from him, ruined his life, became Batman. Oswald Cobblepot, parents rejected him outright. They threw him into the sewer. So like the polar opposites of the Waynes, basically. And so he's like a flip side of Batman in that respect. And then Selina Kyle obviously has a family, appears to be very overbearing, really seems to really, really hate them. And then, sort of once she becomes Catwoman, no mention of her family. It's as if she's just rejected them outright.
Yeah, and then
She rejects the idea of family altogether. So she's the yin to Batman's yang, I guess, where she embraces chaos and anarchy completely, whereas Batman is trying to reinstate order. So I think family is definitely part of that, or at least the idea of a nuclear family, because she has her cat family.
Yeah, we've got the impression that she comes from maybe quite a well-to-do family, but she's left them to go to the big city and look after herself. She doesn't want any part of that anymore. And they're worried about her, rightly, but she wants to be her own person and separate from that. Whereas Batman was made to separate from that.
I think we've basically painted her as like a prototype Lorelai Gilmore, basically. And it's just like, instead of having a kid, she just goes off to be a secretary. But
yeah.
But even tying in with that, though, there again, we have Max Schreck, man, who is a father, and is doing all of these nefarious things for his son. So it's like, the trail of the family, the mixed up families is very strong. And it's very odd that like the one parent in the movie we see as being, I guess, a good parent is doing evil things, which is a bit odd. We can't not to rush the judgment on Selina's mother, but she didn't come across too pleasant in those messages she left. So
no, but I mean, I don't think she meant to be nasty or anything. I think it's just it's a parent thing. She wants to look after her. She wants her to do well to the point where it smothers her a bit. That's the impression I got. And so literally removing herself from the family physically was the right move.
Selina is also a single woman living by herself in the big city, not married, no kids. So that in and of itself is cause for concern for her family, being like a traditional nuclear family, of course. So Selina is a metaphor, right? For any woman who is, doing her own thing, having a career, choosing not to have kids, whatever. And it's when she fully embraces that she's like truly free of it, of the voice machine, the male machine.
But again, too, we'll just throw a little nod into the Walken's delivery of this line, which is just tip top Chris Walken with the whole this power plant is my legacy. The chip, nothing must get in the way of that. I was like, oh, no one could deliver these lines like him. If this was like free, there's plenty of other people who could have played this part, but like, they wouldn't have done it. They wouldn't have left the mark, unless it was like friggin' like Tim Curry or someone, where it's just like, oh, you can't help but just remember him because he's friggin'.
Oh my god, that would have been great, Tim. Not that I want to change this, but in an alternate universe, I'd love to see Tim Curry do it.
He'd be so good. I also love Max Shrek's eyeshadow, which gets more and more extreme until the end, like the final showdown, where he's got just like full 80s rock star eyeliner on. It looks great. Big fan.
This is like find out that Max Shrek actually founded Hot Topic. And he's like, it was all basically just me working through my goth phase, but like I never quite got over it.
You never need to. Look at Robert Smith, still rocking that hair, even if he's fried it within an inch of its life.
The thing is with Robert Smith, though, I do have a little bit of like, maybe it's time, man, to trim it down a bit, because it doesn't look good.
He hasn't looked after it. That's the problem with Robert Smith's hair. He needs some conditioner on that.
You have to hydrate.
Yeah, it's frazzled. He's ruined it. Years of neglect. Come on, Robert.
I would genuinely love if he did like a adverts for shampoos, though. It was like hello hydration. It's just like Robert Smith like in the shower whipping his hair back and stuff. And it comes out and it looks like it did like in the video for friggin' In Between Days or something. It's that pristine.
Yes.
Would sell a lot of shampoo.
Yeah.
For sure.
If I still had hair, I'd buy it.
I mean, they're all doing it too. I mean, friggin' Iggy Pop's selling insurance.
Is
friggin',
he?
Yeah, well, in the UK, he's in he was a couple of years back. I'm not too sure if they still run them, but yeah, he was selling insurance for
Iggy. All right.
Oh no. He got away with it though, because just the whole idea of seeing Iggy in the ad was just hilarious. So I accepted it.
They also had they brought in an Iggy Pop puppet, which was the most leathery, disgusting-looking puppet that Iggy Pop co-starred with, and it's like, this is really working for me, because at least he's in on the joke. And to be fair to Iggy Pop as well, I think his attitude towards it was like, well, I never said I was like a signal of anything. Like, people have put that role on me as like, this man is a symbol of punk and all this. And it's like, I just do what I want. So it's like, yeah, fair enough.
He lives in Florida now, doesn't he? He lives in like Fort Lauderdale or some random...
The thing is, because I think of Florida, I just keep thinking of retirement homes. So imagine an Iggy Pop rocking around in a retirement home with a bunch of like people sitting playing checkers and stuff, and him just wandering through with the shirt off, just like, hey guys,
there's
how's
a
it going?
Bourdain episode where Anthony Bourdain goes down and hangs out with Iggy Pop in his house in Florida, I think.
Oh, amazing. I mean, Iggy is pretty chilled these days, isn't he? He's into his yoga and things like that. That's how he's still rocking. Well, and we've also had over here, of course, John Lydon advertising butter.
Yeah, totally. And I think he had the same kind of... Well, that was to finance the next Pill album, wasn't it? Or...
Yeah, it gave him the money to record the album, to tour the album and stuff without having a record company involved whatsoever. Yeah. He's like, well, this funds the whole thing. So screw it, I'm doing it.
Yeah, once again, though, it kind of like... It's more in the spirit of punk to do that as well, because it's like, oh, you think you know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to follow your expectations of what I'm going to do. I'm doing an ad for butter. You know, it's
I'm going to go all the way and sell butter. Yeah. So what you're saying is selling butter and insurance is punk rock.
Hell yeah.
That's the new version of punk rock. It's gone around the entire way of what punk can do, and now it's landed on the most non-conformist thing you can do is to actually sell out and sell insurance and butter.
That's a dangerous thing to think, though, because then it leads into... Again, we don't like to get too political on this podcast, but it leads to that mindset that you keep seeing lately, where some people in the world think people like Donald Trump are being rebellious and like out there, and that's almost punk. It's like, yeah, that's the new cool thing. It's like, no, shut up.
Also, a man who could use the new Robert Smith line of hair products is Donald Trump.
Yeah. Ugh, darkness.
Yeah. Ooh. It upsets me even thinking about
Well,
this.
you guys don't have to live here, so and you have your own lineup of clowns to deal with.
Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
much like that. Like that scene in The Simpsons where you see like the security footage from the Quickie Mart and Apu's getting robbed, and then it cuts over to like police Chief Wiggum with his tie caught in the hot dog dispenser, going like, "Hey, I got problems of my own here, buddy." It's like that is a
Exactly.
relationship between the USA and America. It's like things are bad all over.
Who's doing well these days? I don't know.
To be fair, Ireland's doing all right. Every time I'm back home, it's just like, hey.
Oh, that's all right for you. Canada, they doing all right? Nah, I don't know. I hear problems with my Canadian friends too.
I would live in Canada.
It's one of my dreams. Yeah, Japan or Canada are my two. Like, I'd move there in a heartbeat.
Yeah, Canada's awesome. Big fan.
But yeah, we do get the. I think like I'm trying to decide. I'll have to do a poll at the end in my own head of what my actual favorite line of the movie is, because this is up there. This, her saying like, she does this whole like, go ahead, intimidate me, bully me if it makes you feel big. It's not as if you can just kill me. And then he has the fantastic comeback of like, actually, it's a lot like that. which is
I actually know what my favorite line in the movie is, and it's coming up in the next clip. But this is a very close second.
No.
I do love that line though. Actually, it's a lot like that, because that's terrifying, because it's gone beyond a threat. Now it's like fact. He's gonna kill her.
And then her laugh is just amazing.
Mm.
Yes.
Is this the end of 27 that he says that, or?
Yeah, it's almost like this 27 is almost like its own little mini movie, because it has a very definite start and it has a very definite end. So.
Well, though this is 28, though technically.
Oh, sorry. Yes, 28.
The listeners won't know this. The files are named differently because of the FFmpeg software.
The people are seeing that the sausage is made. Pay no attention to that podcaster behind the curtain.
I just can't believe this is all happening in 1 minute, in 60 seconds. It's just incredible how much is packed in.
Yeah, you get some that are like the whole minute is just like a movie, like you said, actually, like a mini movie. You beginning, middle, and end. Great. And then you get some that just like, what the hell's going on?
But in terms of like action for this minute, I think that is 28 pretty much. Ends on that note. So, either of you guys have anything you want to say about this minute, or should we wrap up this episode?
I'm all tapped out
for
for notes.
notes for this
great,
one.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, before we go into the dark, dark night, Natasha, would you like to tell our listeners where they can find you online if they'd like to check out your work or get in touch with you or anything?
Oh, yeah. I'm on social media, just at Natasha Kermani. And then I have a production company at Ilium Pictures, ILLIUM Pictures, which is a little bit more of an official account. But you can also find me. I'm easy to find. You can also find us at Dread Central Presents for horror fans. We're being distributed with Epic Pictures genre label Dread Central, so you can follow at Dread Central Presents just to see more about the film and what we're up to. And
I don't think we actually mentioned within the episode like exactly the movie you're promoting. You've currently got a film out.
Yes, we have a film, Imitation Girl, that's currently out on VOD, so you can find it on Amazon Prime, iTunes, whatever you want. And then we are having a physical release coming later this year. So for people who like collectible things, they've done a beautiful, beautiful job putting together a Blu-ray of the film. So,
ooh, we'll have to buy that, Niall, for the Bat Minute HQ.
Yeah, because Imitation Girl, in case people don't know, also stars former and future guests of the show, Lauren Ashley Carter. So it's
twice. She plays 2 roles in the film.
Yeah, 2. I was watching the movie. I was like, I'm seeing double here. 4 Lauren Ashley Carters. But I think I made that joke about 50 times on Twitter when it came out as well. It's just like, maybe somebody didn't see it.
Yeah, you did. But no, do check it out, because not only is it fantastic, but it's linked to your favorite podcast, Bat Minute. So even more reason to check it out. Come on. And check us out everywhere on the internet, which I'm sure you've all done by now. Come and chat to us at the Bat Minute Listeners Cave on Facebook, and send us a tweet at Bat Minute on Twitter. We're on Instagram too. Message us there. That's cool. Oh, and review us on iTunes. That's the nicest thing ever. Maybe if we get so many reviews now, we could do like a raffle, and you could win Imitation Girl Blu-ray. we could buy one and put it up as a prize. That'd be fun. Now I've said it on air, we kind of have to do it. I feel bad. Oh well. Join us again on Wednesday, because we'll be back with more Bat Minute Returns.
Face front, true believers. She's dead, but not wrapped in plastic. Owing to a case of feline curiosity, a free-falling femme reaches a terminal velocity. But can a festoon of filiforms forming on cue help stop Selina's soul from bidding us adieu? For more info on the distinguished competition, tune in next time. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute, Excelsior!